Hello everyone, this is Ron from High Tech Legion. We saw a lot of interesting things at CES 2013 earlier this year at Las Vegas, and most especially in Cooler Master Suite. Not just because there are hot babes in there, but because they have a lot of interesting solutions. Not just because they have expanded also with the peripheral market, and also they've expanded their power supply line, and also expanded, of course, their cooler line. But what they're mostly known for, of course, is cases, and they have introduced their N-Series line, which is now available. The N-Series line is more aimed toward the budget-conscious users, but it's not just a typical budget case. It actually can hold a lot of enthusiast-class components, such as tall CPU coolers, long video cards, and, of course, the rise of water cooling, which is self-contained kits. Even Cooler Master's side on 240 and side on 120. CPU coolers are supported by these N-Series cases, one of which is the N200, the smallest of the bunch, which is a mini tower case that boasts 240mm radiator support. So it'll be interesting to see what we can find inside the box once we start digging into it. At $49.99, the Cooler Master N200 is priced for the budget segment of cases, and you can see that it has appropriately modest packaging as well. As Cooler Master opting for the simpler brown packaging with the black print. And let's start boxing this. You get the manual, Cooler Master N200. It's actually for the entire series here. Shows you the full installation guide, and shows you the accessories and the blown out view of the N200. And I'm just pulling out of the packaging. Since it is a mini tower, it's quite compact and light. Just pull that up. And here we have the N200 completely out of packaging, and you can see that it has a very simple look, but it is also quite functional, with the entire front here being designed for high airflow. And let me just try to remove this protective packaging. The front bezel here has this plastic covering, and it's actually, let me show you that it has a sort of a glossy side here for the trim. Hence the protective covering, so that it prevents the scratches while it's being transported. And here at the front, again, the difference between the advanced version and the N200, which is you see here, is you get a single USB 3.0 port, while you get a pair of USB 2.0 ports. Also, you get the headphone jack and the microphone jack. You have a power switch and a reset switch, and also an indicator LED right on top with the Cooler Master logo printed here on the side. This strip is aluminum. It looks very cool looking, and it has that sort of a retro look with the mesh pattern here, with the vertical mesh pattern, but it's still very modern looking because it is sort of sleek and black. Now the advanced version has a pair of USB 3.0 instead of a pair of USB 2.0, and it only has a single USB 2.0. So that is the difference between the N200 version you see here and the N200 Advanced. Also, this is the N200 version that has the regular side panel here for 120mm fan mounting. There's also a windowed version for those that prefer that. And here, let me just show you the side panels. Of course, they're held in place by thumb screws. Pull it out. There is also a little bit of protrusion there, give you a little bit of clearance. Additional clearance for the CPU cooler, and also when you install a fan on this side panel. And also here inside, take a look at the accessories quickly. You get a set of cable ties for managing your cables. You get a smaller bag here. It contains all the screws and mishmash of them. And let me just lay that out. Of course, the speaker for your motherboard for troubleshooting. You get standoffs, the brass standoffs. Some of them are already, actually the one in the middle right there is already pre-installed. You also get these rubber grommets for mounting the fan to kind of silence it further, absorb some of that noise. You have this adapter for installing the standoffs. So you only need to use the screwdriver. You get screws. So this one for a smaller one, I believe these are the motherboard screws. And you get also more thumb screws here for installing your, probably for peripherals and for the optical drive. And also this little screw here. One of the other accessory. Of course, you consult your user manual for more information, but pretty much everything is inside this pack. All the accessories you need. I would have preferred if they had it separately, but of course it is a budget case, so I don't mind for the price. And also, let's take a look at the cables here. They look sufficiently long enough, even if you manage them, at least from first glance here. We'll test it out later once we do our unboxing. All the cables are black, so it's uniform. Even the fan here, there is a front 120 millimeter fan, and also a rear 120 millimeter fan here. And these are, see that these are black cables that has a 3-pin connector. Also comes with a micro-ATX adapter. Same with the back. Also here for the front panel, you get, of course, your hard drive LED, your power LED, your reset LED, and your power switch, and your HD audio, HD97 audio header, your single USB 2.0 header, and single connector for two USB 2.0 connectors at the front, and the 19-pin connector that connects with a single USB 3.0 header on the front. And just put some of these accessories aside here and show you. I think I didn't show you the inside here. When you remove the front panel, let me just pull that out. There you go. Pull from the bottom. There is a notice there is a gap there for you to pull, and also pull out the pull from the bottom also for air to get in. Inside there has the vertical honeycomb mesh. It's not really a filter, but there's basically 3 different kinds of mesh here. The larger honeycomb mesh here, the medium-sized vertical mesh, and also the smaller mesh. But you'll have to, of course, take out your vacuum cleaner and clean that once in a while. You want to clean it. Also, of course, it has, for the front, you get a 5.25-inch external drive bay and one 3.5-inch drive bay for external devices. You need to remove them right here in the back. You basically just press it on the side and push to remove it. And here at the back, you can see the layout that the front I/O is separated from the rest, so that's cool. And also, it's much easier to manage that way instead of just having it dangling out. Also, here we have a you can see that it has a 120 millimeter fan, and also a position for another 120 millimeter fan at the bottom. So you can definitely put a 20-40 millimeter radiator here in the front, maybe side onto 40. And then also more room for cable management here at the front for routing your, let me just show you that right there, for routing your fan cables in case you want to mount it outside. Of course, we're figured out here, it looks like there is space to mount a fan here on the outside. I'll test it out. Actually, you know what? Let me try it right now. Grab a 120 millimeter fan. Let's see if there's enough clearance here. Actually, let me just unplug this a bit. There we go. This 120 millimeter fan looks like it is possible, and there is enough clearance there. But of course, we won't know for sure until I test it out in my installation video. So you can click the description below. I will show you to install the components one by one here later on. And let's continue on with the overview here. Okay, here we go. We have, of course, we looked at the 5.25-inch drive bay here. Has a room here for putting in a toolless sort of lock, but that might be just an OEM design that we won't realize until later. That might not be utilized at all when installing a drive in there. Let's see. And also we have the bottom here. You get room to install a 3.5-inch drive. There's 2 of them for 3.5-inch drive base here at the bottom. And also looks like you can move them because there's also mounting holes right at the bottom of them. So you can move them to accommodate putting in a radiator here in the front. So that's good. Also, you have bottom mounting area here for your power supply. And there's also dust filter. And a little bit of sort of rubber grounds you're holding it in place to elevate it. And also, there is mounting here for an SSD right here on top of the hard drive bay, 2.5 inch. Also, room for SSD mounting here, sort of vertically installed on the tray itself. Also here at the bottom, so that's 4 SSD mountings and 3.5 inch drive mountings, 2 in the bottom here, and 1 here for the external drive bay. And of course, you can just hide it since there is a room to maneuver your screws in there to lock it in place. So you don't need to necessarily use that drive as an external device. You can use an internal device in there. And also, of course, a 5.25 inch drive bay. And here at the top, there is room to install a looks like a 120mm and a 140mm radiator. Let me show you what it looks like. It is offset, so even if you install a 120mm fan, it doesn't encroach on the height. It doesn't add additional clearance, and it doesn't encroach on the motherboard clearance. So that's a very good design by Cooler Master. And the 120mm or 140mm mounting here has these covers for holding the there is a filter in place, but the filters seem to be larger bore than standard filters. So you need to remove these sort of silicone grommets and move them here if you're going to want a 140mm there, or move them or just leave them where they are if you want to hold them. It essentially is used to hold that filter in place if you want to install a 120mm fan there for exhaust. And also, if you notice, there is, of course, as with any case, you have a large aftermarket CPU backplate cutout, and there are already 2 grommets pre-installed there, and it can fit both a mini-ITX motherboard, and will only use essentially 4 screws here for standoffs, or you can use a micro-ATX case. Hence, there are 4 PCIe slots for expansion. So definitely you can put one of the Asus Gene board here for a very high-end system, and even put in a radiator in the front. Very, very, very good options for mounting. Excellent enthusiast class cooling. Also, 160mm clearance for the CPU supposed to be. That's what Cooler Master claims, of course, as we have seen with Cooler Master cases before, that they tend to sort of undersell that factor. I've reviewed a lot of Cooler Master cases where they actually have a lot more clearance than 160mm, so we'll test it out later in the component installation video whether it can actually fit taller heatsinks than that, because it looks like it can. Of course, we won't know until we actually try. And here at the bottom, let me just show you that, what it looks like down there. As I mentioned, you can move the hard drive trays, the hard drive bay here. You just remove the screw, move them here to the back so there's enough room for the radiator. Also, these are plastic feet, but they have sort of rubber soles, so they don't move around, and they move it about 1.5 centimeters off the ground. You have a very good filter here for that is removable, very sturdy for the power supply area. And let me just here to the back to y'all with the overview. We got, as mentioned, 120mm fan. There are 2 punch outs here for water cooling if you are a user that will require external water cooling, although there isn't really a mounting at the top, so probably you won't really need that. You also have the PCIe slot covers are reusable, and they are high airflow design, so I love that. So even if you have a compact case, you won't worry about the temperatures in that area. Also, again, power supply on here at the bottom and here at the side. So let me just look for my screwdriver here, because usually it is a bit tight. It's the first time opening the case. Remove the thumb screws here of the side panel, and there you go. You can see there that it is a easy pull out handle. Also, I overlooked that there is a Kensington lock, rather a sort of a locking option here, like a loop, where you can put in a lock in case you need to take the N200 case for a LAN party. Again, there is a protrusion here on the other side as well, matching the left side panel. to give it a little bit more clearance. This time for the cables when you are installing it here for routing it. Obviously there is no space here, which is unfortunate. I think pretty much important to have a space here for your 8-pin PCIe cables. I would have loved to see just a tiny hole there just for routing that. I think it's an option, so that's I think I would have preferred. Also, there's room here for the loops and also cable routing areas are here at the front. Of course, it is a unique case, so it has non-standard cable routing options compared to standard ATX sizes. And also, see that this whole area is folded, and there doesn't seem to be any room here for routing 24-pin cable at all. So you would have to route your 24-pin cable at the front unless you have a very thin. You have one of those 24-pin cables which are individually sleeved, because there isn't enough room. Let me just show you what it looks like down there. If you see there, even with the ½ centimeter clearance provided by the extrusion in the side panel, it's quite bulky to route the standard 24-pin ATX cable here. So we'll see. Of course, we won't find out until we do our installation. And plenty of room here. As mentioned, this is where you put the 2 SSDs on the other side, and more cable loops here for routing your cables, for holding them in place. You'll definitely need them. And that is pretty much it for the overview of the N200 case. It's a small case, so it doesn't take much to show you the overview for that. But definitely it is a very well organized in design, and we'll see how it fares when we install our stuff in there. And also now I'm going to skip to that part. Click on the video in the description. Alright, there you have it. See, the benchmarks are surprisingly decent for a very small case, and it can definitely fit the 248mm H100 that we installed there, and plenty of room to spare. And I love the fact that you can move the drive away. You don't need to completely remove it. You can just move it a little bit to the back, and you can fit either a standard 27mm radiator for self-contained cooling kits, and then add a push-pull configuration with the fan on the outside. And also you can, there's also 1 centimeter space left there, so you can actually fit a 60mm thick radiator in there for a 248mm size radiator on the front. And that is very interesting in that it's a very small case. It's a mini tower case. It can fit a micro-ATX a micro-ATX motherboard, and most importantly, you have also the ability to fit tall CPU coolers. As usual, I tested it with the Fantex DC14PE, which measures 171mm tall. In my component installation video, I showed that without the side fan installed, the optional side fan, you can definitely fit a 171mm tall CPU cooler, which is 11mm more than what Cooler Master states on the specifications. That's of course because of the extruded panel that grants you a few more millimeters of space and allowing you to install a DC14PE in there. Of course, I tested it with a mini-ITX case, so just a disclaimer, you might not be able to. I can't guarantee that all motherboards can have that much of space available for them, because some motherboards, especially the mid-tower cases, rather the micro-ATX sizes, are the CPU area is located closer to the top, and in that case you'll probably reach the ceiling. That's also one thing I disliked about it, because it is very small, but the ceiling is very close to the motherboard, and in fact there is no cable routing area in there as well, which is another concern of mine. A small hole would have fared well. I don't think it would have contributed to kind of destabilizing the durability of the case itself. If just a tiny hole there for EPS 12 volt 8-pin connector, which is pretty much standard now even for a very small case, and is very decent in terms of cable management. And I was surprised that you can definitely route a 24-pin cable around it. I thought when I looked at the overview that just by looking at it, the fold on the edge of the motherboard tray will prevent 24 pins to be routed at the back. But of course, the extruded side panel helps by providing, again, similar to the other side, by providing CPU clearance. It provided cable management clearance on the right side panel. Also, it is available at $49.99 for the basic version. I have no idea what the other version will be priced at. There is an advanced version, and there's with of course two USB 3.0s. It'll also be a windowed version. But considering the N400, the next step to the N200, which is the next case is only $10 difference between the $49.99. It's going to be built for $59.99. I'm assuming that the difference, the windowed version and the advanced version, will differ from the basic model by only about $5 or $10 at most. I can't imagine it being costing much more than that. But of course, I could be wrong. I don't have the information for that right now. We'll see once it shows up on Newegg and Amazon and all that. But definitely look out for the windowed version. I'm sure a lot of people will be excited that there is a windowed version for that. Also, it is very friendly for modders. If you're into modding, I've looked at the. It is one of the cases that is very interesting. That there's a lot of expandability by itself, but also you can easily mod it later on and just tweak it to how you like it. And of course, for the effortless installation, well, not totally effortless, considering it is a very niche small case. I would say I would rate the installation in terms of easiest being A and the hardest being D. I would rate it about a B, a B minus. I would give that. I give it that. I think that's fair. It's not just because I'm used to installing a lot of cases, but for a small case, there's plenty of room to work with, except for the ceiling area, of course. So just be mindful of that. Plan your build. If you're going to install a large CPU cooler, as I suggested in the installation video, make sure to connect all the cables first and then put in the CPU cooler last, because it will be impossible to put it in the top. And definitely the offset 120 millimeter fan at the top, because it's offset, it allows you more room to plug in your cables. But it is still a very cramped case. Even without that fan in there, a lot of CPU coolers will probably not fit, especially the ones that are kind of taller if your CPU sits at the higher part of the motherboard. But other than that, I will give the Cooler Master N200 case a High-Tech Legion Gold Award. It definitely deserves that. Just have a few minor issues, but other than that, for the price, the build quality is pretty decent, and also the features are very, very cool and unique, especially for a mini tower case. And compared to other mini tower cases that support enthusiast class components, I just one I can think of right now that is twice as much as this one that is also showing a windowed version. Of course, Cooler Master made some concessions to make it fit the $49.99 price point, but it's still pretty impressive for that price range and for the features it offers. So this is Ron from High-Tech Legion. You can click on the link below for the full review, for the written review, and also click on the link below if you want to see the component installation tutorial video, which I actually talk a lot about the method of how I install it, and also its compatibility with a 240 millimeter radiator. If you want more details with that I didn't cover in the overview that I corrected in the installation video, just click on the link below to do that, and like this video to support us. Subscribe for daily updates. Visit us at Facebook, facebook.com/HLReviews. Tweet at us at twitter.com/hightechlegion. Visit us at hightechlegion.com/forum to join our giveaways. We are constantly giving stuff away. So also be part of the community. And once again, this is Ron signing out.